Today on the Region Free Gamers podcast, the PAL territory finally gets its revenge.
Welcome, everybody, to the Region Free Gamers podcast, the podcast that is fluent in gaming. My name is Arnaldo Perez, and we have a brand new episode for you guys today. We're doing a little bit of a what have you been playing, aka we don't have anything actually prepared, so we're doing one of these. But we haven't done one in a bit, so I feel like we're allowed our simple pleasures in life. Before we get started, thank you guys so much for everything you always do, listening, following, commenting, talking to us. If you have anything you want to let us know, you can always reach us on any one of the social media platforms. But if you love us, if you want to hug us in this time of distress, go to iTunes and just leave us a rating and a review. Just something nice that we can read when we're feeling down about ourselves. It makes a lot of difference. It makes us very happy. And also, stickers. We have stickers now, guys. We have stickers, and we're giving them away for free. If you don't follow us on social media, because I've been pimping these stickers left and right, ask us for a sticker. We will send you one. We will mail you one anywhere in the world. I've been mailing things. I now know how to fill out a customs form. It's not a thing that I knew how to do before these damn stickers, but now I do.
Dude, you have to fill out customs forms for stickers?
For the ones I sent Jeff, because I sent him a pack of stickers.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Big levy on that one.
Yeah.
Man, I am getting notifications. I had to turn notifications off for Instagram on my phone because I am getting bombarded with people asking for stickers.
Gotta get those stickers,
I was like, okay, I'm done.
Everybody's getting stickers, man. So email, Instagram, Twitter, however, send a carrier pigeon, however you can get a hold of us, we'll send you a sticker. Because I want these in every bathroom stall from here to Jakarta. I want them everywhere. So, with all that said, we're going to get started. I have two beautiful, wonderful co-hosts with me today out of the Yukon territories. I have Paul. How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. I wouldn't call myself beautiful, but I'm doing great.
And I'm going to mispronounce this, but out of Utrecht in the Netherlands, I have
Correct. Wow.
Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
Yeah. Yep, I'm good. I've just been on a 16-kilometer hike in my downtime whilst I prepared for this. So yeah, I'm absolutely shattered, but I'm glad to be here.
Oh man, where did you go?
Just one of the local woods. Saw a couple of deer, which was nice.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah.
This is Jeff's daily walk to the general store because he lives in pre-colonial times or something.
That's pretty much where Europe stayed after the pilgrims left. That's where it all stayed.
All right, so let's get into it, guys. What have you been playing? I feel like we always do a little bit of a preamble, but I don't know. We're not, aside from Jeff, who's out and exploring the new world or the old world, I guess.
Yeah, no, I gotta ask Jeff how his new computer's doing.
Oh, that's right.
Before we get started, because he just got the new rig and he's recording on it now. Yep. And he can't find a webcam because webcams are sold out everywhere, because obviously...
Oh, it's glorious. After upgrading from a 7-year-old laptop, which was the battery needed permanently to be plugged in, and Audacity was a nightmare. Skype was always on the verge of just being, deleting itself. Always needed upgrading. Relieved to have something like this. We adopted a Chromebook a couple of years ago, thinking we're going to go the whole cloud storage, we're going to be efficient, we don't need hard drives, we don't need graphics cards, etc. And now we had a big argument a week ago, and we're just right, well, there's only one thing to do with it, is throw it in the garbage and get ourselves a new computer. So the transition goes, okay, well, let's get another laptop. Okay, we'll get a laptop. Okay, what about one around the €400 mark? And I'm saying, well, €400, we might as well just keep what we've got.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be outdated and slow down immediately. We should look to getting something a bit more forward thinking. Okay, you go forward thinking laptops start going into stupid money.
Yeah.
We've already got a monitor, we got keyboard and mouse. So I say, look, why don't we get ourselves a desktop because then we can set it up where our work desk is, because of the whole work from home thing. We now have like a mini office with a desktop. We can get like massive storage. It can be really centralized, nice and comfortable, have a nice office chair. We're not like on a sofa on the computer anymore. And I found a really good deal from one of our local guys, and it had a very nice graphics card, which is it's an NVIDIA graphics card from like 4 years ago, but it plays nearly everything at a level that I'm really happy at. I was playing Overwatch yesterday, and I was thinking, right, well, if it can play Overwatch to this smooth speed, even with like my Dutch internet, I'm super happy.
This is the great secret about video cards, is that you can get like a 3-4-year-old video card and you're set.
Yeah.
The newest video card, you want to play whatever the latest, tech demo kind of FPS shooter out there is, and you want to play it at max settings with 80 FPS, then sure, you can get like the latest video card. But honestly, like a 3 or 4-year-old video card is going to do you just fine for a long time.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and it was dirt cheap as well. So it wasn't as if I'm spending $2,000 on a rig. It's really cheap in comparison. And now, obviously, the first thing I did, so it arrives, I'm having to do work at the same time. I'm already at the desk, so the PC goes right under the desk. It's literally all it came was with a power cable. A couple of seconds later, it's booting up. Windows is installed. Everything's just immediate now. It's amazing how fast it all is. I know I sound like a 50-year-old going, oh, computers these days are amazing. But the last PC I think I set up was probably like 2003, I think.
Oh, dear God.
I know, mate. It's been laptops since then. I've never had a desktop since then, before then. And within half an hour, I'm playing Half-Life 2. And like the wife walks in. The wife. Greta
the
walks
old ball
in,
and chain.
and she says, "Oh, now I can see why you bought this." Like, busted. I'm like, oh. I said, look, this game's 15 years old. Of course it can play it. It's old, It's the new stuff it can't play. Don't worry about that.
I recently got a new computer because I was using I want to say an 8-year-old MacBook. And I had convinced myself that Macs were good now. And I was like, this is good. This is great. And then the charger died on it. And I was like, oh, I'll just get a new charger. It's like, oh, cool. Give me like $100. And I was like, I'm just gonna mosey on over to Best Buy and upgrade myself a computer. And the thing that made me I was like, I needed to get one immediately because I use it for work. So I was like, I need to get a new work laptop. But then I was like, everything, like Jeff was saying, anything that's going to last me more than 2 years has the word gaming in it. So I had to be like, heavy head, hang my head up, like sigh. I guess I have to get a gaming laptop. It's such a sacrifice. I know, I understand.
This is what you do, Arnie. Like you're selfless. You're a Samaritan.
I know. And so now I have a Razer, which honestly, I think that I might be insane because I went from, again, an old shitty MacBook to now my computer keyboard changes color as I speak to you. There was no bridge over this gulf. I sort of pole vaulted over from one side to the other.
But it does look good. You won't be embarrassed to take your computer to work with you at the very least, right?
Exactly.
I remember when gaming laptops first started becoming a thing. Man, oh man, some of them looked absolutely gaudy. I'm a gamer with a capital R and a 4 for the A and so on. And now they're a little bit more subdued. I got a gaming laptop once I got back from Japan and Australia because I was depressed. I wanted to buy something because my trip got cut short. And although to be fair, I did want, a new laptop for a long time, and I had been saving up for it for a couple of years, very steadily, putting away a little bit of money each month. And the one that I got, it's an MSI. It looks like a regular laptop, but it's a beast under the hood.
No, that is one thing that I was impressed by because I got a Razer, I think, and honestly, even the logo is black on black, so you can't really see it unless you look at it. But I do remember, I remember specifically in high school, the kids that had the Alienware, and it was 20 inches. It had a giant alien head on it. I was like, oh, okay, I see what's happening here.
Yeah, and then they got their gaming chairs and their floor pads with one
Hell
O. Yeah.
And their gaming ottomans. It's
gaming ottomans, that's right. I forgot that was a thing.
It's a way of life. There is a thing. Okay, so the other day I was at Walmart, and they have these like, I struggle to even call them mini fridges because they advertise the flaws as if they're features. They're like, hold 6 full cans, and I'm like,
oh my god,
holy shit.
Holds one pepperoni stick.
Yeah, exactly. But they're branded, and so there was like a Budweiser one, a Pepsi one, and of course a like blastingly loud green Mountain Dew one. And I was like, need this. I want it, and I need it. So every time in the podcast when you hear like a loud like cha-ching sound, it's like I'm opening my gamer fridge to pull out my gamer fuel, bro.
Dude, I honestly thought you were gonna say that there was an Alienware fridge.
Oh, I mean, there will be now when I...
There will be now. Oh, man.
Oh, my God. But yeah, so... Honestly, I feel like we just need to get into these games. And I want to start with Geoff, because I know that Geoff has been pleading for us to do this episode for a while for a very specific reason that I'll let him...
I haven't heard any of this.
So, Geoff, why don't you start us off? What have you been playing lately?
Not a lot. Been working. No, I can't keep a straight face and say that. So I was one of the lucky few Europeaners who got Final Fantasy VII Remake the week before North America. Oof. And oh boy, did it feel good sticking it up to you lot. It was
finally
great. Finally, we get something before you guys. And I had a chat with a guy who I could see was kind of getting a bit prissy on Instagram, going, it's not fair, I can't believe Square Enix are doing this, blah blah blah. And I sent him a message going, dude, we got Final Fantasy VII Original like 9 months after you. Like, chill. You're getting it. We're getting it 1 week before you because of a global virus. Like, just take a step back, breathe. You will get your copy. Don't worry.
But don't breathe too close to someone else.
Keep 6 feet.
Yeah.
So by the time North America got it, I pretty much completed it, and before any reviews came out, and it's the first time I've ever played a game where I couldn't go online and find like any clues or any hints, which was great because, you know, you want to have everything fresh. Yeah. There was no sort of like, there was no backlash. It was like, okay, I will get to experience this for myself. There was a couple of people who I knew got it at the same time. We were talking, but I was keeping everything off. I wasn't putting any spoilers up. I was trying to do like the right thing. So I was really keen to do that. So Final Fantasy VII Remake, I want to be careful because I know we've got some listeners who only have Xboxes and are going to be getting it when it comes out. I think it comes out, it'll be out in 9 months' time, I imagine, or 10 months' time on the Xbox. So I guess I'm going to try and be careful in spoiling too many things, but it's a funny one because we all know the most of the story of Final Fantasy VII, and I think everyone's seen that they want to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to try and be spoiler free as possible, but I wanted to go through the stuff I like, the stuff I'm a little bit on the fence about, and the stuff that I think really pulls it down. Yeah. I've gone through lots of different feelings about this game. When I first started playing it, the first 5 or 6 hours, I was blown away. Like, this is everything that I could have wished for. Yes, it's very modern RPG. It's real time not real time battle, but it's just a fluid battle. Mm-hmm. You don't really feel like there's much difficulty. You're just kind of working through it. It's very, very linear. It's not really open world. All these things, and I just kind of accepted that because I knew Midgar was a very linear part of Final Fantasy VII anyway.
Yeah.
So I never really had an issue with that. But as more and more people were talking, and lots of people on social media were giving their thoughts and their opinions, some people put on tons of opinions, and it was really interesting seeing how other people felt. And it did open my eyes, I guess, to some of the things at the time that I enjoyed, but actually I realized, well, actually maybe they have a point, like with the battle system or with the soundtrack, with the characters, what the ending meant, and all these kinds of things. So yeah, lots of ups and downs. I still think it's an incredibly good modern Square Enix JRPG. So it's very important to put it in that context.
Good. Yeah. What did you clock in at, like, final playtime?
Oh, I think around 42 hours in the end.
That's perfect.
Oh, that's so good.
I know, right? and there's no grinding. That is all battles. From I was never kind of milling around an area to try and boost up my materia. I didn't get everything. I didn't do every single submission. I didn't get all the jukebox soundtracks. I didn't get all the summer materia. But I still 42 hours felt like I was happy having completed the game in that time, and I'm like, I don't need to go back for probably another year or so because I've had my fill.
Yeah. Meanwhile, good. Paul playing something that I know he's going to talk about later, and me putting like 120 hours into something and being like, this is fine. This is we don't have a problem. You have a problem.
it's not fine. Yeah, Jeff, I remember when you first got it. I don't remember the last time I saw someone so happy to get a video game in recent memory. No, for real though. Like you were just fucking chuffed. I was like, oh wow, maybe I'm missing out on something here by not having this.
I did feel like a child at Christmas. It was when I saw the email saying it's been posted, I must have shrieked so loudly. I'm not going to try and replicate that, but it was getting it in my hands. I was like, wow, was it however many, 23 years later, I've got it all over again. And it feels like, and when I booted it up with the music playing and the intro and how it just seamlessly went from the intro into the battles being Cloud, even though I played the demo, it still felt so different because it felt like I'm not seeing it. I think I even said this on the demo episode. I'm not seeing this on the internet. Mm-hmm. I'm not hearing about it. I'm playing it. This is actually a playable game. And it's been, since the PS3 tech demo, this has been something that people have been talking about.
Yeah.
So I was so happy to have it. So I guess I wanted to go through what I really liked about it. And then you guys, if you have questions about that, please fire away.
Yeah.
The first 5 or 6 hours is beat for beat the same game. It pretty much all happens in the same order. A couple of things they change. Obviously, they throw in submissions, which are just par on the course of teaching you how things work, and which I personally, at the beginning, really liked because it helps you get a better sense of some of the other characters, of the main characters. So you get a lot of then interactions between Cloud and Tifa.
Yeah.
So that's utterly fantastic. Even though the missions themselves are redundant, it's all about the little moments of dialogue between the characters as they battle that they see that you start seeing the relationship that these two have from before the game starts. So they do a really good job there. Biggs, Wedge and Jessie, they build up nicely. There's an extra bit for Jessie to kind of humanize her a bit more. And then when it gets to the moment you meet Aerith, in the church, that's when things start to take a slight change.
Okay.
Ever so slightly. For starters, you actually have a battle in the church itself, rather than kind of escaping and having the fights in the gantries. But the moment you step out of the church and you go across the rooftops, it still felt just as kind of charming and just as, I wouldn't say magical, but just as sweet as it originally was. And Aerith immediately kind of appeals to you as well. She's such a sweet character, and they did such a good job at making her once again somebody that you realize, oh my god, she's going to die at some point. Oh no, I can't believe they're going to do this. I can't believe they're going to kill her again. I don't know if I can emotionally handle watching her die. I don't know. But as we know with the demo, they start placing into moments with Cloud where he starts seeing visions of the future. And when you first meet Aerith and she gives you the flower, so I kind of skipped over that, but she gives you you buy the flower from her on the street. You then start seeing these. I don't know if you've seen them, but these kind of ghost-like wisps.
Yeah, I think you get a little bit of it in the demo, like towards the end.
Yeah. So there's these things, and this is where for me the game does start to. I start to get worried about where the game is heading story-wise. Because they do have a major part to play towards the end of the game. So that's something that I'm not going to spoil, I don't think, for people. But the final 2 hours of the game are, for me, two of the most excruciating hours I've had to go through in a game of late.
Because it's terrible, or because of Aerith?
So obviously you get to the end where they're on the end of the bridge in Midgar. Like, everyone's probably seen the photo, and people who played the game, they know that when you get over that motorway of Midgar, the game then turns into an open world and what have you.
Yeah.
But the build up to that is very much beat for beat the same. Different elements coming in. You have more time at Shinra HQ, which is really fascinating. I think they've done a great job with Hojo. They did a great job with the Turks. But then you end up having an Advent Children moment between Cloud and Sephiroth. And if you love Advent Children, like, you know, the battles where they're flying around the sky like superheroes, if you love that, then you'll love the sequence between Cloud and Sephiroth. If not, like me, you'll find it completely out of place compared to the rest of the game.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing that I find funny about games, and Uncharted, I was thinking Uncharted does the same thing, where Nathan Drake will get stuck on a bit of scenery because of the whole invisible barriers.
Yeah.
But in the next cutscene, he's jumping from ledge to ledge and hanging onto things and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're Cloud, you can't go beyond the invisible wall, and he can barely jump.
Yeah.
But then when he fights Sephiroth at the end, he's like flying through space almost, you know? So you're like, well, what the hell? This is so inconsistent. And for me, I get that sort of like hard-edged adult thing of, no, this isn't consistent. I don't like this because this isn't how they built up the last 40 hours of a game.
Yeah.
But it's a Nomura game. It's fun. It's Square Enix. This is what they do.
Yeah. I mean, so, I guess ultimately, where do you fall on? Because I think that I can sort of see both sides of it, right? Like, on the one hand, if it was just a shot-for-shot remake of Final Fantasy VII, I think it would be novel for people who've already played it, but maybe that novelty would wear off by like hour 5 when they're like, I've done this 17 other times before. But on the other hand, I can see some people just being concerned about where they're going with the story in terms of, like, you had something that was perfectly fine. Like, why sort of mess with it?
Yeah.
So I guess, do you want them to sort of keep tweaking it as they go on, or are you hoping they sort of stick to the story that you know?
Yeah. There's a lot of apprehension, I guess I could call it. There's moments, say, in Wall Market with Don Corneo. That's how they kept in cross-dressing Cloud and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The Wall Market is utterly brilliant. It's one of the best segments of the game for me. You really feel like you're in a buzzing nightlife city.
Yeah.
And I was really happily surprised that they kept that in, because that could have been something that you kind of go, well, that feels a bit too risky.
Yeah.
Society-wise right now. Let's just dodge it and find another way to get Cloud to get into the blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They stuck with it because that happened in the original game. So part of me is looking at that going, well, if they're going to include that part of the original, it gives me hope that they're going to include other major parts of the original game.
Yeah.
But then you get the ending where you get Cloud versus Sephiroth, and you get you get a lot of speech. And so I really want to make sure I'm careful. You get a speech where it starts to kind of open your eyes to stuff could now change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
it all depends what.
Yeah, it really, I guess it does. I don't really mind if they change things a little bit. It's not like I don't know the original story and things are changing a heck of a lot. I'm glad that they've fleshed out the characters, though, because, back in the 32-bit back in the 32-bit era, that's not really something that you had a lot of time to do, right? It was the plot, or I should say the script was mainly just kind of used to advance the plot, and the characters are a little bit flat, I'd say. They've changed that quite a bit with the remake, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The 40 hours I spent, but I'm going to exclude the final 2 hours. The first 40 hours, the way they build up the relationships, they build up the motives. You see Aerith and Tifa, especially, like the relationship they start building as friends, which is in the game as well. Seeing it fleshed out, a 5-hour part of a game turn into 40 with, in my opinion, minimal filler.
Yeah.
It was joyous. I was so happy that they did how they did it.
In following that up, like, did you like the voice work? Like, did you think the voice actors did a good job?
Yeah, they did a fantastic job.
Good.
There was a little bit of, I think with Barrett, I think it's even in the demo, he comes across as a little bit OTT at times. Yeah. But that was Barrett as well. You know, he was like full of big, grand sweeping statements and wailing, you know, flailing his arm around and shooting stuff for the sake of it. So that was him. He was also always very, at the beginning anyway, very aware of Cloud and not very trusting of him. And that came through. It really came through. The extra characterization they did for Biggs, Wedge and Jesse, for me, was welcome. Not particularly too sure where the ending left them, as you know, you always expect those three to die in one of the scenes, but that's one of the things they might have changed. So yeah, I think the characters pull it through. The audio pulls it through. The soundtrack, apart from one or two, like the Wall Market soundtrack, is a bit bizarre. Oppressed People, if you want to go and have a listen, it's a bit of a funny one. Yeah. But all in all, the soundtrack is utterly fantastic. I think it's going to be coming out on a 7-disc CD album for like €70 or something ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay, guys, come on now. That's really just kind of taking advantage of us at this point. Like, they know that people who have grown up with it now have money, whereas before they were, you know, poor teenagers. Come on.
Yeah. So it sounds to me,
this is Square Enix, man.
It sounds to me, Jeff, like you're all in. Like, once the next part comes out, you're immediately picking it up.
I think that unless they show some very alarmingly bad elements to it, like what's happened with Last of Us 2, some really negative press stuff which gets everybody concerned. Yeah. Unless that happens, I think I can't have played that, enjoyed it, and then say, well, I'm not going to play the next one just in case it's Tifa who dies instead of Aerith, for example. As much as that would kill me, I'd have to experience that for myself, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're not going to kill Tifa. Like,
the world
would
put
be
it past
drowned
them
in fanboy tears. Hey, so did you find that playing it concurrently at release with a bunch of other people enhance the experience? Or
for sure.
Like, would the experience have been lessened if you'd played it like a year after release?
Yep. I am so glad I played it literally, you know, the day after it got an early release.
God damn it. I was really hoping you'd be like, you can play it any time, because I haven't played it.
But
we'll play it together, Paul.
Yeah.
I did this with Octopath. I played it at the same time with a couple of other guys, and we could talk about it as we were playing it, and we could enjoy talking about it at the same time. And you can do that, obviously, at any time of any game.
Yeah.
But this was before, but with the Final Fantasy, this was before there's any other media presence for this game out there.
Yeah.
And it was just, if I enjoy it, then I enjoy it. I'm not being influenced by someone saying, but have you thought of this? But what about that? Like the battle system. You can rip the battle system apart if you like original turn-based battles. If you prefer old school turn-based battles, you're not going to like this action RPG style.
Yeah.
But this is now one of the main ways of playing an RPG game. So it's like, well, you better just accept it, because that's the way it is.
I can't wait to try it. I've said several times on this show before, Final Fantasy 15, I loved the combat system. Like, I don't know if 7 is like it, but just the fact that with 15, they finally did something different. And it was just such a pleasure to look at. And you weren't always in control, because a lot of the characters in your party just kind of did whatever they wanted, and you kind of had like this sort of ancillary control, which was mainly Ignis, heal me over and over. But the whole like warp strike and the fact that you're flying around and doing all this crazy shit was really, really appealing to me. Is 7 like that as well, I guess, is what I'm asking?
for me, it's a nice happy mix. It's a bit of a step back from that side of you're not really. I felt like I was never in full control in 15, whereas with this, you can adopt that approach if you want to, but you can also swap between the other two party members. Okay. So me, I think like probably most people, as soon as a battle would start, you swap immediately to Tifa because you want that awesome hand-to-hand combat. Because it looks awesome when she's fighting with sword. It's flailing a sword around, and it's okay. It looks pretty, but Tifa is punching and kicking the crap out of things. Yeah. And she's got great limit break. She's got great additional special moves, which are good to trigger. And you can do it so that when you basically have an ATB gauge filling up if you play their normal setting, and what will happen is. By doing normal attacks, which are you can hold the X button and you just perform normal attacks, the AI will perform normal attacks for whoever's in the party elsewhere. Yeah. And they'll build up your ATB gauge. And then once it's triggered, you basically then trigger that, it stops time, and you can select which move to use. And at the same time, you can then, if Barrett and Cloud have their ATB gauge, their first bar filled, you can quickly choose for them, okay, what actions do I want them to take? Or you can swap over to them and suddenly be Cloud and build up his ATB quicker because when you control it, you fill it up faster than when you let the AI do it. Yeah. So you can just mix and match however you want. If the battle is going down the route where you need to be Barrett because it's all long range, so you need his gun and you need it to be consistent, then you better take control of Barrett.
I see. Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm looking forward to trying it. I'm generally looking forward to trying anything modern, which doesn't make sense because I play so much turn-based stuff and I love it. But at the same time, I'm always looking for something new. Hey, did I miss much, honestly, by not getting the collector's edition immediately?
Oh, the one with the art book and the CD.
Yeah.
CD's nice. It's like a small selection of songs. Like I said, it's going to be on 7 CDs, so one small mini soundtrack's not all that. It's great for your car when you're going to work.
Pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like, here's a mixed CD for you. I love you.
And I'm personally, I mean, I love art books, but I'm not a fan of these mini art books.
Yeah.
I want full-fledged, massive art books. I'll be keeping an eye open for that. The last thing I wanted to draw upon, and it was a point I saw on one of the YouTube channels, and unless they endorse us, I'm not going to endorse them, but they did make a good point. It was actually Jim Sterling who made the point.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really good one to make, so I'm not going to claim this as my own and sound intelligent. But the beginning of Final Fantasy VII Remake is very similar to Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 2 gives you Snake. And you're like, sweet, I'm going to be Snake. And it switches it up as soon as a tanker episode, and it changes it, and it subverts people's expectations of the game.
Yeah.
The remake also does this, where basically here's the demo, and the first 3 or 4 chapters, it's the game, like I said, beat for beat. It pulls you in, it sucks you in, and then it goes, aha, switch, change, here's a new character, this is going to happen, don't worry about that, Sephiroth is going to appear, and you suddenly go, whoa, this is... This isn't what I expected, but actually it's a hell of a lot of fun. Yeah. Like, after a while, I enjoyed playing as Raiden, especially a certain scene. But
the scene where he's naked, right?
Of course.
You're going to have to edit that part out, too.
My wife knows. So, but there are great... It's a great way to balance that out, where some people got really annoyed that it started changing things.
Yeah.
But actually, when games do that, when games subvert our expectations and they flip it on its head very quickly on us, it can actually mean, I think, Arnie, you asked it earlier as well, is it boring would you be bored playing the same game for 40 hours? By tweaking it and changing it, it kept it fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh enough for it to feel like 40 hours just fly by. And I know some of the guys who've now completed it on hard mode, and it took another 50 hours.
Oh, wow.
So there's time in there if you take it seriously. The big thing that concerns me on the game side, and I know that we want to get onto another person soon, is that you can pretty much get to level 99, you can max out your materia, you can do all those things, and we know that that's not how Final Fantasy VII played out. So it does make me think, the next game, how is your save file going to carry over?
That's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
Because there's no way they let you start game 2 at level 99.
Yeah, exactly. So are they going to go, here's some material that they're going to lose some on the journey. Oops. They're going to have forgotten all their abilities, as you do.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's a bit of I was a bit concerned when I saw that. It's like, you can go back to chapters and you can still level up and you can increase the difficulty. It's like, yeah, but what about the next chapter? Well, this isn't called chapter 1, so don't worry. Yeah, but when? What? How? Yeah, that's the big question mark.
I think I'll have an answer for you when I talk about the game that I've been playing. Because they kind of managed to do something in that game. I don't even know why I'm being so suspenseful. I'm going to talk about it in like 2 seconds after we break. But Trails of Cold Steel 2 is what I've been playing. And they managed to do something where they brought over not like your skills and levels from part 1, but they also didn't start you off as a level 1 baby.
Yeah.
And I think that might be, I think that might be the balance that they do, where it's like, hey, I know you grinded your way to 99 in the first one, but you also have to kind of enjoy the process in the second one rather than just breezing through it. So we'll start you off at level 20 or whatever makes sense for the beginning of that game. I can't imagine them, going back to level 1 where you have like nothing.
Yeah, there's a game that we never talk about that does this too. It's Yakuza.
What? Yakuza? What's that?
Yeah, I always did love when you pop in a new one. There's always like a guy, even in Judgment, there's always like whatever your place where you get items from is always like, oh, I see you've beaten X Yakuza game. Here's like $100,000 and like buy a bunch of skills with this.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they'll figure something out. Maybe they will let you stay level 99 and just make it a baby game for you.
or they say, okay, well, the max limit's going to be level 400. I have no idea. It's going to be like 14. They just have to keep
upping the stakes.
Yeah, exactly. But other than that, been playing lots and lots of games. I'm not going to list them all now. I did beat Dead Cells though, Paul.
I know. So, I heard. Yeah. I gave you a round of applause that you would never have seen because you told me on chat. But hell yeah! And then you told me that they reduced the difficulty. So my applause
I shouldn't have said that, should I?
Then tempered. You shouldn't have. I would never have known because I don't know if I'll ever go back to that game.
Oh,
you should have said it was they made it harder.
Yeah.
And then you were like, all right, well now I really have to get in there and stick it to Paul.
Well, the after you defeat the hand and you get the stem cell, once you put that in and you basically increase the difficulty of the whole game, it suddenly becomes rock hard again. So I'm like, oh damn it! Do I really want to do this again?
And the answer is probably not. I remember also increasing the difficulty level just on like the normal, not reduced level.
Yeah.
And the hard one, it was hard, man. And even I was like, all right, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, I think we're going to take a little break, guys, and then we'll come back with what Paul's been playing, even though he's sort of teased it a little bit.
Yeah, we can just skip my segment altogether.
Done. We're done, right? Yeah.
So here's a break, guys. See you on the other side. We're back, everybody. Paul, tell me what you've been playing, please.
I feel a little bit bad, I'm not gonna lie, because Anthony, I'm sure, wanted to talk about Streets of Rage 4, and now he's not gonna be here, and I have to talk about Streets of Rage 4. How could I not?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
And Ozzy too, who generally avoids these episodes, he's probably listening to this right now and being like, "Ah, man, I probably should have been here for this one." But yeah, I got it digitally when it first came out. I think it was like the last day of April or something like that. So it's been a month now that I've had with it. And I've played it on and off. I played it obviously immediately when I got it, and I cleared it immediately as well. And I gotta say, guys, everything that Ozzy and Anthony have been saying in chat as well, pretty much spot on. Great game. Yeah. Jeff, did you get it or no?
Yeah. I got it on the day of release as well.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you did too.
Yeah.
Which is why I asked. So, yeah, it's a heck of an update, and you know, it's so funny because on one hand, you see the previews of it and wow, this looks really good. I don't see how they can possibly screw this up. But on the other hand, I don't know if you guys remember when they announced who was working on it, Guard Crush Games.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys remember this?
No.
I remember this.
I'm trying to think.
And the reason I remember this is because Guard Crush, they worked on a game called Streets of Fury. And the latest one is Streets of Fury EX.
Okay.
So now my follow-up question is, have you guys ever seen Streets of Fury?
I have not.
Okay.
Nope.
You have to look this game up. Not right now,
Yeah.
but you gotta look it up. It's not a game that, upon seeing, inspires confidence in the developer. We'll just put it that way, right? It's a hilarious looking game. Basically what it is, it takes like the Guardian Heroes formula where you're fighting hordes of enemies, but you're doing it on different planes. So you can go to the frontmost plane, the one behind it, and that's about it,
okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not like Streets of Rage where you can kind of move freely in this pseudo 3D kind of environment. It's just like more like Code of Princess, for example, for a more contemporary comparison. And what they did was it looks like they just kind of like took a bunch of people they knew and digitized them a la Mortal Kombat. And it looks friggin' hilarious. And I don't know how it controls because I haven't played it. But again, like looking at it, it looks like a game that a bunch of guys just kind of made in their garage. And so when they said these guys are going to be making Streets of Rage 4, I was like, oh boy.
Hell yeah.
But, you know, full credit to them. Great job. The game does not overstay its welcome. It takes, what do you think, Jeff? Like an hour and 20 minutes to complete front to back?
Yeah, I think if you're doing it with someone else as well, an hour, less than 50 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're playing with somebody else, you can kill the enemies just that little bit faster.
Yeah.
So it's not a game that overstays its welcome, which is like, which is good.
It's what you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of the beat 'em up, I shouldn't say a lot of the beat 'em ups because I don't play that many anymore, but many of them do this thing where they just kind of pad the amount of time played by just throwing enemies at you constantly. And it just kind of becomes monotonous after a while. And Streets of Rage doesn't do that. You know, you get a good variety of enemies. You have unlockable characters from the original games, which pleases the old fans.
Yeah.
And you have other secrets in the game, one of which I found by accident. Jeff, did you know about the arcade games and how you could did you find any or?
Yeah, when you use a stun gun on them.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even know this. When I was playing through my first time, I destroyed one of the arcade machines with the stun gun, with the taser, and it transported me back to the alien level in Streets of Rage 2, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. If you destroy an arcade machine, you know, you can go to another level. And so a buddy of mine came over, and we were playing 2 players, and I was like, yo, watch this. And I went and I killed the arcade machine, and then nothing happened. And I was like, what is this? What's going on? I could have sworn. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure. And then it was only later that I found out that if you have to use the taser on the arcade machine in order to get to the other secret level.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Jeff, what did you think?
Of the arcade machine, of the game. I really enjoyed it. I think you're absolutely right. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's pick up and play, have a bit of fun. After you complete it, go through the levels you enjoy. I did a little bit of trying to beat some people's scores on certain levels, people that I think are very good at gaming. So I think, right, I know they're a massive Streets of Rage fan, so I want to at least in some levels get a better score than them, just so I can say, ha ha ha, you know, I'm better than you. I go, oh yeah, but I've completed it on very hard. I was like, oh damn it, you bastard. So I enjoyed that. You know, it's going to be one of those games where as soon as someone comes over, that's the first thing, especially, you know, people of my age group, like, right, first thing we're going to put on is Streets of Rage 4. Let's have a blast. Because that's exactly what you want those games for. They're not meant to be incredibly deep. So on that respect, I think it was really good fun. The graphics, the art direction, for me, I still ultimately prefer the pixels of Streets of Rage 2 and 3. I still prefer that artistic style, but it looks stunning. Like, it plays so well. The movement, especially Adam. I think Adam's probably the best of the newer sprited characters.
I love him.
It's just so satisfying. And Paul, you're probably gonna want to go into it, but it's so satisfying, those hits, and that's what these beat 'em ups, the bad ones, are mostly in my mind, because you don't really get that sense of connection between pushing a button and feeling that hit.
Yeah.
And Streets of Rage 4, it still has that. And I think that's what the developers have managed to retain more than anything else that they've done. The soundtrack is meh. The animation, and some people love it, some people aren't fussed. But the actual gameplay for me was spot on.
Yeah, and that's easily the most important part by far. And they really did manage to make that kind of connection, the button press, the connection with the opponent. They nailed it. That's all there is to it. Just the right amount of story, too. I think one of the problems with Code of Princess, for example, is that there was a long time between levels with kind of, story and exposition. And it was fun. The story is like a fun little thing, but it really kind of kills the pace of the game. Whereas Streets of Rage 4... Dude, the amount of times that they get exploded off like a high building or a boat or whatever, and they go flying through the air, and then oh god, it's awesome. It's like I'm watching Die Hard in a game a million times. But yeah, just the right amount of story too. The soundtrack, Jeff, you mentioned is kind of meh. I can't really disagree with you there. I was listening to it last night just to kind of make sure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because I remember being kind of underwhelmed in the game. And there are some good tracks. Maybe half of them are really good. And then the other half are just kind of like this, let's just put sounds on a beat. And this whole melody thing is overrated. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I felt it looked. So I don't know if they were trying too hard or not trying enough. But I don't quite think they hit that sweet spot. Also, by the way, in a beat 'em up, you can't have a level where the music is like super low beats per minute and just kind of like this almost morose tune. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
I had a question for you, Paul. Well, I had a couple questions, but you answered one, because I was going to ask you about the soundtrack, because obviously when you talk Streets of Rage, you gotta mention the music, right? I feel like it's become synonymous with like the best of what the Mega Drive or the Genesis could do audio wise. But the other question I had for you is Streets of Rage 4 or River City Girls, because I know you really enjoyed River City Girls as well.
I know. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, I actually think I enjoyed River City Girls more. Yeah, and it's funny I say that because I just mentioned how Streets of Rage doesn't overstay its welcome, yet River City Girls takes about 5 hours-ish to complete. Probably less, like if you know exactly where to go and you're not doing very much exploring. But River City Girls has a lot of style, It's really, really cool to look at. The soundtrack, I think, is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I hate to say it, it's better than Streets of Rage 4's. Like, I was really floored by how good it was. Yeah, it was really, really good. So it's got a few extra things going for it over Streets of Rage 4. What it doesn't have is the ability to easily convince a friend to play it.
Okay.
Because with Streets of Rage 4, it's this self-contained experience. You have a payoff at the end, and that's great, right? Like, you get to the final boss, you're playing with your buddy, and you're on 0 lives and he's almost dead and there's tension there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas with River City Girls, you don't really get that. In River City Girls, when you die, you just kind of respawn with less money, which is fine, right? Great for a single player game, but as a co-op experience, I would go with Streets of Rage 4.
Okay.
And if you asked me which one I would just rather play by myself, it would probably be River City Girls.
Okay. Good.
Okay, well.
I'm adding these to my short list of games that I need to actually play to be cool.
I can't overstate what a pleasure it was to play River City Girls from top to bottom. Everything about it was just spot on. I was shocked, actually.
You're getting a lot of beat 'em up love now. Like, I feel like that's a genre that you really enjoyed, and these last couple years I feel like we're getting more and more of them.
Yeah, finally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because, man, I remember playing even, oh, God, I'm going to hate myself for mentioning this, but Power Rangers on the PS4.
That's right.
I remember playing that with my buddy back when we had a YouTube channel ages ago. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. Horrible. Like, no wonder people aren't playing these games anymore. Like, they're just bad.
Yeah.
Thankfully, though, they've fixed that with River City Girls and Streets of Rage 4. I highly recommend both of them.
Yeah. And Capcom did the beat 'em up collection they did not that long ago.
Which was nice, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get some mileage out of that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything else? Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, I was going to say, because I think I've also enjoyed like Castle Crashers and the Scott Pilgrim game back on the PS3 era. Those were like two of the only good beat 'em ups going around at that time.
Yeah, there was like that small period of time when they were doing that, because I remember they did the Turtles in Time remake that was like reshelled or something, and they released the Simpsons beat 'em up on Xbox Live and stuff like that. Like, they were trying to do something like this, but now I feel like they've just gone whole hog into brand new experiences.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I'm just really glad that some of the indie developers have picked this up and have taken something that is kind of been forgotten by the actual franchise owners and have been able to produce something good. So I'm really happy that they've been able to do that. I also downloaded the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan-made game where you can play up to 60 of the animation characters.
Oh, I've
so you can be April O'Neil and you can be Shredder and Bebop and Rocksteady, all these characters. And this is just it's like a fan-made project. I think it's something a Palooza, Shellapalooza or something like that. But that's been great fun as well, and that's for free. I just downloaded that on the new PC.
Nice. Yeah. I've got to look into that. The other one that I've got to look into, I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Streets of Rage remake?
No.
Another fan project. It was released like, I don't know, 9 years ago or something like that. But apparently and I wish, you know what, actually I have downloaded it. I just haven't played it yet, which would have been really great actually for this episode now that I think about it. But hadn't touched it yet. Apparently that is like the definitive Streets of Rage game. Like it has.
Actually, I think I've heard that from a friend has told me. Is it Streets of Rage 2 remake or is it the original Streets of Rage remake?
It's kind of like an amalgamation of all the first three, which is why they just call it Streets of Rage Remake. You can play as almost any character. There's a whole bunch of different modes. The amount of customization of your gameplay experience is unparalleled. To the point where I was like, man, I hope Streets of Rage 4 has a lot of stuff, because this game made by some guy really set the standard, right? Yeah. And I'm glad Streets of Rage 4 does have a lot of really cool modes. Jeff, did you try the boss rush mode by any chance?
Oh, not yet.
Holy shit, dude. I can't even get by the first one.
Oh, God.
Because you get like one life, right?
Oof.
And I tried playing it. Man, it took me like, I don't know, 8 tries just to get by the first boss.
I can normally beat her in one try. It's the Commissioner Gordon that I struggle to get through without losing a life.
Yeah, he's a rough ride. And then I get to the second one, and like they don't give you anything. They don't give you like they don't increase your life.
Like a health boost.
Yeah, they just dump you in there, and it's like, nice job. Now you're dead.
Yeah. That's just for people who can learn patterns, right?
I mean, there's going to be somebody on YouTube who makes me feel like an idiot, obviously.
But yeah.
Anyway.
Anything else that you've been playing recently, Paul?
Oh, well, there is. Who knew? You know, we haven't teased any of it. Trails of Cold Steel 2. You know what? I actually thought I was going to finish it yesterday. I have never seen, and I've played Persona 5 all the way to the end. I have never seen a game with an ending sequence as long as this. Jeez. It is egregious. Like, guys, get a handle on it, please. I played yesterday. I thought I was going to be sitting down for an hour and a half max. And I did that thing where like I had stuff to do, but I'm like, it'll be over soon. And it was like 3.5 hours and the fucking thing still wasn't done. And I put my controller down. I was like, this is disgusting. Like, I can't believe this. That complaint aside, what a pleasure this game has been. I have been bothering Arnie for weeks now because I know that he started playing it and then around the 40-hour mark he dropped it, and I don't understand why. I don't understand why.
I think it was coinciding with when I was moving. And then
I moved,
and I never picked it back up. That being said, we were talking about how this game is like violently anime.
It is extremely anime. It is extremely JRPG.
It is.
Like, but it's if you're not a JRPG fan, you're not going to want to play this, and that's fine. It's not for you. Great, move along. If you are a JRPG fan, this is arguably the most JRPG I have ever played.
Yeah.
It has everything. Every trope that you could possibly ask for is in this game. You want mecha battles? We got mecha battles. You want a protagonist who has every girl in love with him? We have that too. It has everything you could possibly imagine from like an anime type experience, and it's great. Like, here's the thing, man. Falcom has been making this game for what, 40 years now?
Yeah.
They're good at it.
Yeah,
they know what the people want, and they deliver it. And part 2 is even better than part 1 in that way, because now the stakes are kind of higher.
Yeah.
The characters, I shouldn't say the characters are no longer awkward with each other, but they know each other better, and there's more comedy involved in that. Whenever you complete a fight and 2 of your characters have linked together, which is a game mechanic I'm not going to bother explaining. What matters is that when these 2 characters finish off a battle by being linked together,
oh god,
they have like a little quip, a little thing they say to each other after the fight, and so many of them are hilarious because you've spent over 100 hours with these characters, and they have these little jokes and inside things that they tell each other. A lot of the time it's like, great job, we deserve that one. And it's like, okay, great.
Yeah, whatever.
But if you pair Eustace with anyone, he's always got some sarcastic bullshit to say. And it makes me laugh every single time.
I honestly, that always was like really fun for me, because I just always loved like basically being in a life and death struggle, barely surviving, and then him being like, "You're a dick," and I'm like, "Fuck you, I love you."
Exactly. The other thing that I find hilarious about this game, and this is a problem with every RPG ever, is the side quests are hilarious in context, because the main story is often, not always, often like a life or death. We have to get there now.
Yeah.
But we can stop and help this person with this problem. We have enough time for that.
We can go fishing. We can do lots of stuff.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, in Trails of Cold Steel 2, they acknowledge this. They always say, I think we have enough time for that. Yeah, we have enough time for that. We have to be here, but we only have to be there by noon, so we can stop and do this. And but it's ridiculous. Like, nobody would ever behave like that in real life. And in Trails of Cold Steel 2, it's egregious. Yeah. And it's so funny. I know I'm saying all these bad things and then saying that they're great, but they kind of are.
Yeah.
This is part of the Trails of Cold Steel 2 experience. The battle system is pretty much unchanged from the first one. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Because the first game's battle system, I don't know about you, Arnie, but like, I think it's pretty much perfect for a turn-based RPG.
For what it is, absolutely. I don't know what you could change to really improve it.
No, I don't know either. It's one of those things where it just feels, again, like Falcom has made this game a million times and they know exactly what to do. The battle system, Jeff, if you're interested, or maybe our listeners, basically it's like Final Fantasy Tactics, in that everybody kind of takes their turn based on various stats like their speed and so on and so forth. But you manipulate it so that your characters kind of are able to go a little bit faster, or you can have characters use like special powers to just kind of jump in and cut off an enemy. And there's a lot of customization there, a lot of strategy involved.
Yeah.
And outside the battle, you can equip, obviously, your weapon and your armor, and that's all well and good. But then there's another system where you can kind of equip different magic and different abilities and mix and match. The level of customization and the level of combos that are available is absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. It is such a pleasure.
So what's the draw for you that makes you put in so many hours?
Well, what is it? And so many hours is right, dude. Like, it's like 100 and I think I've put in 110.
That sounds about right.
And to be fair, I've done pretty much like every side quest that's available.
Okay.
You know, so if you don't, it's still going to be a lot. It's still probably going to be like 80 to 90, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. But does it have, like, what... So, I mean, I put that many hours into Persona 5, and I felt like the story was always driving me forward, and I enjoyed that. What is it that kind of drives you in that game? Is it then the battles? Because the battles sound really, obviously, tactical. Because in Persona 5, the battles are okay, but they're not the most hard. They're not the most difficult things unless you put it on a higher setting. Mm-hmm. So what is it that you find you're putting your hours into and that you're enjoying about that?
You know, it's a combination of everything. I hate to say it. We'll start with the story. The story is great. You know, again, it's very anime, but they've had a long, long time to craft it. Yeah. And it's interesting. The characters are endearing. It does that thing that the Persona games do and that a lot of games do now, or at least the Japanese ones do, where the characters are all really positive and really upbeat, and they're all really good friends with each other. And so the main character, Rin, he is just a speech machine. Like, it is just motivational speech after motivational speech.
Oh, man.
And heart-to-heart conversations with his teammates. And he tells them, you know, the teammates are like, Rin, you know, you're the best. You're our leader. And Rin is always like, oh, don't sell yourself short there, Machias. We couldn't have done it without you. And it happens fucking all the time. But it's positive, right? Like, as cheesy as it is. And by the way, they acknowledge this in the game. They do. Towards the end of the game, the characters are making fun of Rin for his cheesy speeches. And I love that. But as cheesy as it is, it's positive. It feels good, right? So it draws you in there. And the story itself is like, it does that anime thing where, actually, I don't even know if it's an anime thing, but basically like where you kind of solve one mystery, but then there's like a bigger one behind it. And there's always like, you know, super powerful characters behind the scenes, and they're manipulating everyone. And it's just a lot of fun. Yeah. The music, of course, because it's a Falcom game and they have the same guys doing the music that they've had for the past like 10, 15 years. It's exactly what you would expect. It's super upbeat. It is rockin'. The battle tunes are absolutely amazing. I love it. So that kind of propels you forward. And of course, the battles, because like I did find myself grinding at a certain point in Trails of Cold Steel 2, not because I had to advance, but because there was just a certain material I wanted to collect. Yeah. And the battles are just so much fun. You know, that really is what it comes down to. So as much as the game should be shorter, you know, there is, you know, straight up unabashed filler in this game. I still love it. I still love it.
Yeah.
What about, so are you now committed to playing 3 as well?
I can't wait. Yeah. I'm not going to play it immediately. Yeah. I'm going to finish up. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to finish up 2 today. Who the hell knows when this game's going to end? But I'm going to try. But once 2's finished up, I'm not going to dive right into 3. Yeah. I think I'll appreciate it less if I just dive into it immediately. So I'll probably...
Are the games independent, or is it...
This is something I was going to say, and I think I'm going to take this moment to pimp our Falcom episode, which is one of our older episodes. But Falcom has done this thing where all of their Trails games are interconnected in the way that, like, they're all taking place in different... Like, every series is taking place in a different part of the world, but it's all the same world, and they sort of talk about the same sort of global events that are going on.
Yeah, right. So you've got Trails in the Sky, and Trails in the Sky, I think it's 3 games, and it's all like a self-contained story, and it takes place in a different part of that world. And then Trails of Cold Steel, from 1 to 2, like 2 takes place right after 1, and it's the same characters and so on and so forth. So maybe that answers your question, Jeff.
Yeah, so I'd have to go and play the first game then, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, and you could play 2. There's like a summary at the beginning of it, and all the character profiles have all the stuff that they did in the first one. But you would be better served playing the first one.
Yeah.
It's really more epic in scope than pretty much any RPG I've ever played. I don't know. What do you think, Arnie?
I would have to agree. I think it sort of takes the like, if you're used to playing stuff like Persona, where it's like, this is our group, and in this one city we have these problems, and then eventually we fight God, like, that's different than what Trails is, because Trails is, I would say, more in line with like maybe a Final Fantasy VI, where it's like there's this epic like world-shifting war that's happening, and you're sort of slowly becoming more and more engulfed in it, even though you're like, I'm a student, I want to please take like lessons from my alcoholic teacher and like be left alone. But it becomes like by I would say like even like the middle of the first game, it's like, okay, like we're essentially fighting this war, like things are happening. And so in that sense, like on a scale perspective, it's massive. Much more so than like I would say more modern RPGs are. I think Trails is sort of a callback to a lot of like older school RPGs that we played as kids.
So I have a final question. Trails of Cold Steel, should I play that, or should I play Xenoblade Chronicles?
Ooh,
I would say,
because I haven't played either.
See, I would stump for Trails because I feel like it doesn't get as much love. And I've also not played Xenoblade Chronicles.
I would say Trails. I've tried Xenoblade Chronicles, and don't get me wrong, great game, but man, at least for me, it's so subjective. Trails really scratches a certain itch. And it does it extremely well. Like, if you have this particular itch, you will not find a back scratcher as good as Trails of Cold Steel. It just it is unabashedly what it is, and what it does, it executes pretty well perfectly.
That's gotcha. I don't think I could put it better than that. It really does. Like, it's a very, once you find that niche, it's one of those games where, like, when I first played it, I was like, oh, okay, this is fine. And by the end of it, I was like, I never knew that I wanted to play this much. This very specific sort of game. I was like, now I'm committed to it. So I told Paul I am going to jump back into 2. So we can sort of talk about it. And I'm excited to play 3. And I know there is a 4th game that's come out. In Japan, at least, and I think eventually they'll bring it over to here.
There's a release date. It's being localized. Oh yeah, man, they're bringing out the whole thing, which is I don't think I bought the 3rd one until I was certain that the 4th one was coming, because I was just like, I can't play the first 3 and then not play the 4th. Like, that would be crushing. But they are bringing out the 4th. It's being brought out, I think, by Exceed as well, or NIS, but
I think NIS do this one.
I think it is NIS, but
also,
in any case,
I mean, now you have the advantage, Jeff, of they did release enhanced ports for PS4 of the first 2 games, I believe, so you can even get it on there. You don't have to go back to your PS3.
Yeah, sweet. And they are better. Like, graphically, it's pretty much the same as the PS3 or the Vita, but the ability to speed it up to 4x is really, really great. I don't do it during the battles. And maybe I should have, but I like watching the battles. Like, I like watching the characters attack, and every time, oh my god, how many times have I heard a character say "my turn" when it's their turn? We're talking like thousands of times. My turn. It's my turn. My turn. And if you have the 4x, you kind of lose a little bit of that, flavor during the fights. But for walking around, the 4x speed certainly helps. It probably shaved a few hours off my total playtime.
Yeah. That is a thing. You're also going to read a lot. This is like several novels worth of text in each of these games.
Yeah, the voice actors really earn that paycheck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, this is the thing. So So for me, I'm on a bit of a precipice of a decision to make. That's why I'm really curious now, because I've got Persona 5 Royale in the post, and a couple of years ago I finished 5, but I really want to jump back in there.
Yeah.
I've got 4 Golden sat on the shelf for the Vita.
Ooh.
I'm currently playing Diablo 3 with a friend, and I'm getting very unfulfilled playing Diablo 3. I've got to be honest with you. Then obviously Xenoblade Chronicles, everyone's going hype for it because it's the world's greatest game, because it was one of the only decent games on the Wii. Come at me and argue otherwise. No, but like, it's like a game that gets remade, remastered. I'm like, yeah, okay, I get it. Well done. It's a good game. And then there's this as well. So like, I really want that RPG fix, and I haven't really landed on anything lately. I've tried Diablo, like I said, and it's not quite giving me what I was hoping.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll take a look into this one.
Yeah. I mean, if you want something you haven't experienced before, then this would be the way to go. If not, I think I'd lean Persona 4 Golden, having also not played it because I'm a terrible person. That's the one that I've always heard excellent things about.
Exactly.
And it's definitely worth playing, even if you've played Persona 4. They definitely did a very good job at adding new content to that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. So with that out of the way, let's take a break, and then we'll come to me. And I have some choice words for Paul, so you're not going to want to miss this. And we're back. It is time for what you've all been waiting for, which is my gaming stories.
I can't wait.
All right. So, Paul Benjamin Ramalho.
That's my name. Very Portuguese, that Benjamin.
I don't know if I think people will understand what is happening in this situation. I think this is a very relatable story. Like, have you ever had a friend who's like cripplingly addicted to something? Like or is just engaged in behavior that is not acceptable. It's like bad. And they're like, I feel bad, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread this behavior around to make me seem like not as bad.
Misery loves company.
Yeah. And so I hear Paul talking about this game, Slay the Spire. He's like, Slay the Spire, it's so great. You're gonna love it. And I was like, man, my friend Paul, he would never steer me wrong. He would never
He's got your best
expose me to something that would damage my life.
Yeah.
So I go and I download Slay the Spire. I got it in a humble bundle, and I was like so excited. I was like, Paul, I got Slay the Spire. And I start playing this. And I have to say that 70 hours have never been so quickly just evaporate, like sand in my hands, Paul. Just slipping through my fingers to accomplish nothing. I still haven't beaten the game, the heart. I still haven't killed it.
Oh my god, are you serious? Sorry.
This is the time. Like, I feel myself aging every time I have to climb that damn tower.
Oh my god.
But no, it's essentially what it is a roguelike, which, to be fair, it's a type of game, like it's a genre that I've never really been fond of for this exact reason, because I don't like challenging myself is not a thing that I want to do anymore. Like challenging myself was a young man's game. Like now I want straightforward, I want a beginning, middle, and end, and I want to be satisfied. Yeah. But roguelikes, by their very nature, are just like, you're gonna fail until you eventually don't. And you won't know if it's because you're getting better or the dice just fell your way this time.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the addictive part of Slay the Spire is that deck building element. Like that's what it is. That's the thing that I think hooked me, and what makes it better for me than like a traditional roguelike is that like there's a beauty to the simplicity of like, you have the set number of cards and you sort of have to build your character the way that you want to play it, you know? And you'll find out very quickly if you've succeeded or not, because you will die if you don't. And you'll start again.
And it's shameless too.
It really is.
It's absolutely shameless the way they hook you in, because every single floor is a new, you know, sort of pack of cards. The pack of cards is only like 3 cards.
Yeah.
But you're spurred on every single floor because you want to see what those new cards are, because you have to pull the lever at the slot machine, and it's but it's so good. and they do this thing where when you die or when you win, because even when you win, you don't win. Like this, oh God, I'm so angry at you. When you get to the quote unquote end or you die, you also get experience points from doing a bunch of things, like how many floors you've climbed, how many battles you fought, how many elite monsters you killed. And that sort of raises this experience bar, and every single character has a separate one. And you get, I think it's 5, every time you quote unquote level up, you unlock new things, whether it's new cards for your deck, it's new relics, which are these items that give you certain abilities, or anything like that. And that's also a thing that I'm like, well, if I just unlock the cooler cards, like, this will be easier, right? It has to be. And it's not, because I've unlocked so many cards that I've still never seen, that just never show up anywhere. And I'm like, you know, I don't know how many times I can hit my head against this wall and still enjoy it. But so far, here sit I, but for the grace of God, trying to play Slay the Spire for like the 110th time. You're gonna have to send me some of your endgame screenshots, because you can access what was in your deck. When you win or lose for every single run that you've made. And you're gonna have to send me some of your decks. I really want to look at what you're doing and kind of what's going on there, because I don't remember how long it took me to beat the heart, but I don't think it was 70 hours. I'm desperate to see what's going on there.
I'm sure that my decks are horrendous. I need to, what I really need to focus on, what I've learned is I need to try, because at first I was like, oh, I want to focus on specific cards, and I'll just get these specific cards as many times as I can. And now what I'm like is like, no, you idiot. You need to do what you do in a normal deck building game, which is make your deck as small as possible with like 5 or 6 really good cards that you can use over and over again.
Yeah.
So now I'm like reassessing. But Slay the Spire, not even once, kids. It really, to all our listeners out there, this game is diabolical, but so much fun. I mean, I can't understate how enjoyable it's been, especially because Slay the Spire is one of these games that you can play while you do other things. Like there's no need to sort of be 100% focused 100% of the time. You can like watch movies, you can, and I have, you know, as I walk around my house and do the dishes, I've still got Slay the Spire on the side.
That sounds to me like the reason why you haven't won.
I'm so glad you said it, not me.
Like, this is a great game you can play whilst doing other things.
Yeah. I haven't even told you the fact that I got my girlfriend to try it, and she got hooked on it. So then we had to go buy a physical copy at GameStop, which is like $8, by the way. You can buy this game brand new for like $8 on PS4. Oh. So we did that, and now she plays it on the TV, and I play it on my computer.
That's nice. And that's time that you're not communicating and spending together.
Correct.
That's great.
Well done, Paul. Well done.
We communicate. Our conversations are 100%. What relics do you have? What's your build? What character are you using? Do you like it?
God, it's so funny, because like I can't recommend it, and yet simultaneously I can't recommend it enough because it's so different. It's so new. You haven't played this game before in all likelihood, right? It's based on, I shouldn't say it's based on, but it draws its biggest influence from the board game Dominion, which is a fantastic card-based board game. And oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very enjoyable, Jeff. For as much as I'm shitting on it, I'm also just bad at it, which adds to my sort of love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, I would recommend it. If you've never played something like this, then you should, because you'll enjoy it.
Do you and your girlfriend have any kind of bet going on who will beat the heart first?
Oh God, not yet, but I'm sure we're working up to it. She just unlocked the last character, so we're sort of like now racing to see who can do it. I've made it.
Nice.
I think I've made it to the heart twice. Because the thing is, you have to beat it with every single character to then actually be able to beat it correctly. So you can collect all the keys and then get to the heart. And it's insane. Like when that happened, I was like, because I was convinced, I'll get all 3 of these things, and then when I get to the end, I'll just win. And that's not what happens at all. Then you have to go to another floor, and I'm like, God damn it! Like, that was truly the moment. Like I don't know that I've ever hung my head harder than that specific moment, because I remember it was like 2 a.m, and I was like, I'll do this run and it'll be over. And I won, and I was like, I did it. I won. And then it cuts to like, here's the 4th floor, and I'm like, like,
yeah.
I just breathed a sigh. I'm surprised you did not hear my sigh in the Yukon, because I
might have felt it.
Like it would have traveled miles to get to you.
Yeah, it picked up steam, and then by the time it arrived here, it was a gust of wind.
But
Let me tell you, Jeff, the that final, because you can beat the game just by going through the main 3 towers, and then beating the final boss of the 3rd tower. But if you collect certain items that are difficult to get, then you can face a super boss, like in the 4th tower, and that's how you get like the true ending of the game. And let me tell you, that super boss is tough.
Yeah.
Tough. Like Dead Cell's Hand of the King kind of tough. And if your deck is not up to snuff, it will crush you.
Yeah.
Crush you.
Demolish you immediately.
Yeah, and which of course, like, you know, if you're a certain type of person, just makes you want to play the game even more. Like, oh my God, I have to beat this thing. Like, this is such a challenge. And it really truly is. I've put in so much time into that game. I have a pretty good idea of what kind of builds I want for each character, depending on which cards I get.
Yeah.
And even still, the heart, I can only beat the heart maybe, I don't know, 1 out of every 5 runs or something like that. 1 out of every 4. It is merciless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But aside
you'll
from
get there.
that, aside from Slay the Spire, which has been crippling addiction, which is made worse only with this current situation, because I have to be home all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's even worse. But I recently got a new laptop, like much like Jeff and Paul did as well. So I guess this is the new computer club right here.
Apparently.
Nice.
It's very much pushed me to sort of get into more PC stuff, more indie stuff that I would not normally try out. Especially because I rediscovered this in my move. I have like a wireless connector, so I can use my 360 controller on Steam. The other game that is sort of pulling me away from Slay the Spire is Moonlighter. And Moonlighter was a game that I had wanted to play for a very long time, because the concept of it I thought was really intriguing. It's essentially, and I hate to call it this, but it's essentially a Zelda clone. But the gimmick basically is that you're a shopkeeper, and so you enter these dungeons in order to collect materials. And then what you do is you go back to town and you sell these items in your shop to get money, to upgrade your shop, upgrade your equipment, upgrade the town itself, to get, other merchants that will sell you things that you need, to then, go through that loop all over again. But it's so charming. It's just such a charming little game. Like, the art style is really, like, very pretty. It's sort of like pastel-ish, sort of, not cel-shaded, but sort of in that mold. And it's, I don't know, there's just something so interesting about it. And there's a lot of tension in sort of the, can I go one level deeper in this dungeon? Can I sort of push my luck? Because when you die, you lose, basically you have a backpack and you have like stuff you can carry on your person. Your personal thing has like 5 slots. Your backpack has 20. And so when you die, you lose everything that was in your backpack.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, so I always want to keep all my most expensive stuff on me. but I also need to keep potions on me because I need to be able to heal, and I don't want to lose that stuff because I paid good money to have it made. And so it's always this balancing act of like, I have like 100-ish health left. Like, can I push it? Can I go in one more room and hope that like something big will drop and like I can sell it for a ton of money and like finally get my new shield that I've been wanting? Or do I back out now? Do I sort of keep going? And there's always that push and pull. There's also like items that you find in dungeons sometimes are cursed, and they have specific conditions, like this item can only be placed at the top or the bottom, or this item can only be placed at either side. So there's always like that reorganization that's going on. Like some items are like, oh, this item will, once you leave the dungeon, this item will destroy the item that's like diagonally above to the right of it. So it's like, oh, I have to put it somewhere where it won't do that. But I don't know. There's
that's
just
so cool.
Yeah. It's like, it's just the capitalist in me, I guess, which is terrible and icky, and I don't like it, is like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sell a shit out of this. Like, these rubes will never know what hit them.
That tension is a huge selling point for me. Like, you now have me very interested in it.
Yeah.
That is such a fun mechanic in these kind of games where okay, can I just do one more floor and see? This is the crux behind oh man, like Azure Dreams, even way back on the PS1, like one more floor, just one more floor. It's getting harder and I might lose a bunch of stuff. Dungeons of Dreadmore is another one, like the classic roguelike top down, one more floor. It's just such an addicting loop. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Even stuff, I find it with stuff like Persona 4 or 5, I'm like, I'm in the dungeon and like I could leave, but then I'd have to like go through all this bullshit again. Like, can I make it to the boss, or can I make it, one more, like the next save point? And there's, I mean, when you die, it sucks and you're like mad. But when you do it successfully and it pays off, you're like, I am a genius. I am the greatest gamer of all time.
Yeah. So is it like, when you say it's top down and Zelda-like, so you control your character and you hit a button or click the mouse or whatever to swing your sword, and there's different moves and stuff? Is that how this works?
Yeah, so basically, I think I only have 2 weapons equipped right now, but you can have up to 4, I think. And so there's different types of, there's like 5 specific types of weapons. There's sword and shield, there's spear, big sword, bow and arrow, claws, and I think that's it. And so every weapon has a, like, if you press A on the controller, it swings, and you can do, I think, like 3 swings, and then you sort of stop, and you have to like calculate that into when enemies attack. And then if you press X, there is a secondary function. And so with the sword and shield, it's like secondary function is put your shield up. With the bow, it's like hold on to an arrow a little bit longer, and it does like twice the damage. So there's a little bit of interplay in there with how you sort of go about every single weapon. Like, every single weapon has its own pros and cons. And then you can also enchant weapons to make them stronger. You can sort of, it lets you play around with your character, but ultimately it is that sort of run in, like all the doors shut sometimes, and you have to kill every monster in there before you can leave.
Yeah.
Like, there's also a roll mechanic, which is like the other big thing. Rolling basically lets you get over gaps, and it also helps you avoid damage. Like, you can't be damaged while you're rolling. So a lot of bosses are like, here's a thing that takes up the whole screen, and it's coming right at you. Like, better remember to roll. Yeah.
Well, this is one of the great game mechanics of all time, is the ability to have that like moment of invincibility, which is usually done by rolling. And they have it in Dead Cells as well. It's so handy to just kind of have that ability where you can be aggressive but have that kind of get out of jail free card. Yeah. Would you say the action is like, would you say it's like slow-ish or more fast? I don't really have better words to describe it.
I would lean on pretty fast. I think it's fast paced. I mean, it also depends on the types of enemies that you're fighting in any given room. But for the most part, yes, you are constantly moving. You're constantly like trying to get in better position. You're constantly avoiding multiple enemies while you're trying to hit one. And especially in boss fights, like, constantly, like, you are never standing still and just like hitting something. You're always dodging something or trying to get in position to do something else. It does a good job of that. It does a really good job of always sort of keeping you on your toes. And I think much like Slay the Spire, it's deceptively simple, right? You enter any dungeon, all the dungeons have 3 floors. That's it. There are 3 floors. Mm-hmm. There's like a random amount of rooms. They're in a random order whenever you enter the dungeon any given time. But it's like floor 1, floor 2, floor 3 has the final boss. And each floor has like a mid boss to it. But it's like, oh, there's only 3 floors. But like the first time you enter, you're so weak that, you know, you're purposely going to be leaving before getting to the boss multiple times because you have to sell to then upgrade all your shit and then you move on. And there's basically the whole thing with this game is that this was a thriving town. It has now fallen into disrepair, but there are these 5 doors that lead to different dungeons that explorers just used to go into to like get good stuff and get out and sell, blah, blah, blah. And so now you've inherited this store called the Moonlighter. And so it's your job to sort of bring it back to prominence and try to rebuild the town. Obviously, when you start, there's only one door that's open. And then as you beat bosses, the subsequent dungeons will start opening. And then the 5th door is this giant door that nobody's ever seen the inside of because nobody's ever been able to conquer all 4 dungeons. And so, you know, you're sort of, I'm the nameless hero that's just gonna, you know, do this thing. And there's an old man that chides you the entire time. He's like, just go in and get out. Like, you don't need to keep exploring. And, you know, it's very standard stuff, but it's very enjoyable.
Nobody gets anywhere by doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Come on.
But then again, that's why he's an old man and not like dead at 20.
And then outside of that, the other game that I've started playing is Gato Roboto, which is a Metroidvania
that's nice.
style.
That's cute.
Yes.
Yeah. It's nice and short, at least. It's not. I mean, not even you could make that a 70-hour game, Arnie.
Yeah. Though I will try because I have died constantly, constantly dying. But no, that's a very fun. I forgot how much I missed Metroidvanias. Like it's a genre that I feel like I don't appreciate until I'm playing one, because as soon as I start playing one, I'm like, this is my life now for however long it takes me to win.
I just completed a game I didn't want to talk about. I didn't have time, but I played through Blasphemous.
Right
recently.
On. How was that?
And apart from the odd bug here and there on the Switch version, usual, it's actually, I really enjoyed it. Really good Metroidvania. The artwork is very interesting. There's some really bizarre stuff going on in there. Very like South European Christian Gothic inspired stuff, which is totally unique. I haven't seen it in many games before. And I picked it up for like €8, so it was perfect.
No, just in general, like being on Steam now, like getting more into this has led me to play some like really bizarre stuff that I've really enjoyed. I don't know if either of you have played Gorogoa.
No, it sounds familiar, but it probably sounds also like a boss in Final Fantasy.
It's like, I don't even know how to explain it properly, but it's basically like this puzzle game where you sort of have a grid. It's like 4, and you shift tiles around. So you start in a scene, right? Like, let's say it's a kid in a door, and you click on the thing and you can drag the door away to reveal like something else behind him. And it sort of has that mechanic where you have to explore and find different scenes and move people around different ways like that. It's very interesting. But the last thing I wanted to talk about, because I always save the best for last for our beautiful listeners, is this game called, and if either of you have heard of this game, I will be shocked. But I was recently at GameStop looking at some of their sales stuff, and I found this game on PS4 called Kotodama, The 7 Mysteries of Fujisawa. Have either of you
rolls right off the tongue.
Have either of you heard of this?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
So immediately I'm like, it's $15, and they have like a buy 2 get 1. So I'm like, I'm getting this. It looks like a visual novel game, like right off the bat, but the back text makes it seem like like somebody's gonna be murdered in this thing. So I'm like, oh, I have to play this. So I buy it, I boot it up. I think I've only played like 30 minutes of it so far. But immediately it starts, and so it does this thing where you sort of start mid-action, where it's like, I'm just a normal high school person. Like, this is my first day transferring to a new school. Oh, what's this? It's a cat demon that talks to me.
Sweet.
And so it's like, don't forget that you sold your soul to the demon. And it's like, I'm not going to explain that anymore, but that's a thing. And so I'm like, oh, okay, now they've got me, because I need to know how this happened. And so I'm like going through this whole thing. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so this is a visual novel game, so I should not expect much gameplay at all. And I was prepared for that. I was like, this sounds great. And so immediately it goes to this thing, like you go to class, you meet your teacher, she's like a 10, she's like super hot, and you're like, okay, this is weird, like, but you know, anime game, like whatever, let's just keep going.
Par for the course, really.
And so you meet this character, and basically the demon is like, oh, remember to use your power. You can like enter people's minds and figure out when they're like, you can make them tell you stuff. So like the example was like somebody broke this vase, and so you're like, ask this girl about it because I think she did it. And then you enter her mind palace, right? And I'm like,
sweet.
I'm like, this is where the game begins. And what I find is that it's a Bejeweled clone.
Oh,
wait, there is a twist. So I enter her mind palace, and it's this Bejeweled clone, and there is a full-bodied like image, like a drawing of the girl next to it, right? And so it's like, they give me this whole tutorial, long as hell, and it's not really hard, but I'm assuming it's because that's the first person you do it with. But the point is, you have to like make combos to like increase this meter, and when you get it full, like you will find like they will confess whatever their secret is to you.
Right.
And so obviously I'm like, okay, cool. So I start playing, I hit a chunk of the meter, like 25% up, and of course, like there's just particle effects going everywhere, like hitting this girl, she's like moving all around every time I combo, and I'm like, this is weird. And once I hit the 25%, boom, like underwear immediately. And I'm like,
of course.
All right. Now I know exactly what I'm in for.
Honey, come see this.
Yeah. And so immediately you could guess, like, as soon as you win, it doesn't show anything. This game is rated T for teen. That is the part that I forgot to mention. So like
it sounds like nobody actually played it.
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
What the hell is
this? So it never shows you anything, but obviously the implications are there. And then basically what happens is you are introduced by this same character introduces you to the occult society of the school, which is just two girls, and it's like, yeah, we're not popular, but there's 7 mysteries of this school, and it's like, oh, I'm going to solve the 7 mysteries of the school. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you see this game, buy it. This is I can almost guarantee you this is going to be the game that like nobody knows about. 15 years from now, when we're on our PS7s or something, people are gonna be like, Kotodama, that's like that $400 PS4 game.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. That said, it doesn't sound like a very good game.
Oh no.
And so usually the games that are good are the ones that really skyrocket in value.
Fair enough.
But I mean, if only you and one of our other listeners bought it, and those are the only 2 people who bought it, then, you know, it doesn't really matter how bad it is.
I think the reason I enjoyed it so much, I think the reason it made me really happy was because I thought that this was over. Like, I did not think that this happened anymore. Like, when I started going to GameStops and getting like 360 and PS3 stuff, like every once in a while, I would find something like this. Like a game that wasn't just a terrible AAA title that just flopped immediately. You know, it's sort of like a game that I've never heard of, that nobody's told me if it's good or if it's bad, that is just like hilarious looking. Like, that's sort of like when you were talking about 428 Shibuya Scramble. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's that kind of game where I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh, like, we don't get this anymore. We don't get like the sort of game that nobody ever talks about. That's like, you can take it home, you don't know anything about it, and it's like a mystery. It's like opening a present.
Yep.
It's kind of what Jeff was talking about, where it's like, playing Final Fantasy Remake is like interesting because even though it generally I know the story, they've tweaked some things and it's like playing something for the first time. Like I'm so oversaturated, especially being part of like the Instagram gamer community and stuff like that. All the time you see people talking about this game and that game and how it's good or how it's bad. And this for me was like, I found something that I've heard not a word of. And now I get to experience it. It's mine now.
Yep.
Like this is my journey.
No, that's a ton of fun. And it's so rare, man. Like every once in a while, I'll see a PS4 game I've never heard of. But like, I don't know, there's something about this one. I think it's the title. It's that cumbersome title. Like, it's so bizarre.
Yeah. And so, and the fact that it was like $15 too, because I feel like the other times I find these, they're like, oh, this game is just released and it's like $60, and I'm definitely not taking a flyer on that.
Yeah.
But
exactly. There has to be like a magical combination.
Yeah. I look forward to playing many more hours and regaling all of you with my adventures.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about all the underwear.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. But I think that's about it. I think we've covered a lot of the stuff that we've been playing. I hope that you guys have had as much fun as I've had on this. I love these episodes. It's really like, it's just enjoyable to like share in real time my experiences of stuff that I am currently playing.
Oh man, it's a huge part of the fun of this hobby is just talking with your friends about what you've been playing. And so we have to get these out every once in a while, and I have a tremendous amount of fun with them.
Yeah, same here.
But with that, I'm gonna thank you all for listening to another episode of the Region Free Gamers podcast. Like I said at the top of the show, if you love us, if you support us, please go on iTunes or your podcast listening platform of choice. Leave us a review, preferably 5 stars, but we'll take anything at this point as long as you give me words. Tell me why you're rating it, whatever. But ultimately, we just want to hear more from you guys. We want to keep talking to you. You can find us on Instagram at Region Free Gamers Podcast, Twitter at Region Free Gamer. You can email us at regionfreegamers@gmail.com. There's always a way to find us. Leave YouTube comments, whatever you want. We have stickers for you guys. We have 200 of them. I've already sent. I was telling. I don't know if you guys saw, but I posted on our Instagram. I've already gotten people requesting from Portugal, from Sri Lanka, from Japan, from Canada, from so many countries, and it makes me so happy. I love
know
it
it's
so
pretty cool.
much.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's really cool seeing all these different faraway places being like, "Hey, I know you.
Yeah,
give me a sticker."
Yeah. I want everybody to put it somewhere and post a story just with the tag of your location, and I want to compile all of those and make them a little highlight on our profile just to see
that's fun.
Where everything
that's nice
is.
Idea. Yeah.
It's been great. And hopefully, if the stickers do well, I think we might have plans to do other sort of little knickknacks that will get out to you guys eventually.
Absolutely.
But like I said, I'm going to be sticking these absolutely everywhere. I've already put one on my car, which I'm sure makes me a target for someone. But
Region Free Gamers, something about immigrants. I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God. But thank you guys so much, Jeff, Paul. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
Welcome.
This has been the Region Free Gamers podcast, guys. Peace out.